November 2014, I did a race called the Brecon Ultramarathon. It's 72 kilometres, although I seem to manage to run 74 kilometres somehow. Race around Talabont region of Brecons over a couple of pretty hilly sections, including the edge of Penny Fan, up over the Gap, all around the Talabont Reservoir. And it's about 1,700 metres of elevation, I think, on this race. Whilst I was training for that race, I must have run thousands of routes around where I live. I'm lucky enough to live in an area where I've got coastal paths, and then if you go inland a little bit, there's lots of kind of hilly climbs all around the kind of lower Mendips, with Iron Age forts and all those kind of things around an area called the Gordano Round. And because I must have done, you know, so many training runs over the months leading up to that ultramarathon, that ever since then really I haven't bothered to kind of spend any time running around those trails. I think I was kind of done with it for a bit, and you know, essentially I'd kind of got fed up with getting lost and carrying a rucksack and having to take a whistle and a compass and all those kind of things that you have to take with you, wet weather clothing, all the rest of it, food, and going out and running for sort of 3 or 4 hours at a time, sometimes leaving the house at 5 in the morning with a head torch to run all the way into Bristol. At one point I remember running through the bed of a river and then up a hill, and then coming face to face with a giraffe, a real giraffe, where I'd realised that I'd run around the back of a zoo, and I'd run up to the perimeter fence where there was a giraffe sort of staring at me. But I'd kind of been done with it for a while. I think this weekend, with the sort of semi glimmers of the spring weather that we've been getting, for some unknown reason I just decided to go for a run on some of these trails. Not a very long run, but that's the beauty of trail running, isn't it? Is the fact that you can completely ignore pace when it comes to trail running. You don't really have to think about necessarily your minute miling or how far you're going or anything like that. Really, it's just a case of being on your own with the trail. And I've missed that solitude, that idea of not having to look if I'm crossing the road or anything like that, or having to run around pedestrians. When you're out on the trail, you're just kind of completely in your own thoughts, and it's a really great place to kind of get your head together. And I'd realised that I'd really missed that environment. All that training that I did, I found relatively easy because, you know, you're not doing intervals or anything like that when you're trail running. You're just out running, getting the miles in, and that's something that I need to be doing at the moment. And I think it's time I became reaccustomed with slinging on my backpack and just going out for a run around these fab trails that we've got around here. So that's what I did yesterday. And I've also got a couple of other runs in this week. I did the park run with my son Zach on Saturday, and we managed to run that kind of firmly in my sort of lower zone 4, where I'll treat that as a kind of tempo run really, which was good fun. And also a slightly longer road run. I think I did 8k or something. So the plan to run 3 runs this week has been accomplished, but also this kind of rekindling of my love with trails. Being that I've got so many of them around where I am, I think that can only be a good thing. I'm kind of bored of running underneath these halogen or sodium lights at the moment, and I just want to get out on the trails a bit. However, it seems like I may have spoken a little bit too soon with the weather, because it's all gone a bit shit again, hasn't it really? So I'm hoping that those little glimmers of spring will fight their way through. Swimming this week's been pretty solid. I haven't really done anything remarkable other than the 3 swims that I'm supposed to do, but I am feeling really strong in the water at the moment, and the running's starting to feel right. But I know that the weight will really start to come off once I start to build some rides into it, and I'm just not in the mood really for doing some turbo sessions, especially the kind of sessions that I need to be doing, which is just as I've been doing with the running, long slow runs. So I need to just make sure that I actually get some commuting miles in. So all I'm planning on doing this week on the Wednesday is just getting my bike sorted out and getting into work and back, into Bristol and back on the Wednesday, and starting to make that a bit of a habit. After this week I should have a bit more free time to get some bike miles in over the Easter break from university. I should be able to find myself a little bit more time to get out and about if this bloody weather improves. And so that's what this week's been about. It's been about me rediscovering my love of trail running, maybe, I did enjoy that run a lot. So combined with the other kind of runs that I've been doing, that's a really good addition for getting out and just doing the long, easy, relaxed and good for the brain runs. Keep the swimming up this week and then build that bike into it, and just see if that starts to have an impact on the food. I'd give myself about a 5 out of 5 for this last week. I've had good moments and bad moments, probably in equal measure. I'm still just waiting for that switch, which is like the last switch in the sequence for me to get thrown, and it's always nutrition based, and it always comes in place when the training starts to kick in, and I'm not getting that kind of familiar dullness in my legs that I love, and I'm not getting it from the running at the minute, so I'm assuming it must be from the lack of bike riding. So that's really the plan this week, is to smash the bike stuff out and start getting that nice feeling back in my legs. I don't know what it is you guys kind of enjoy doing it from week to week, but I do get bored with repetition. I'd be interested to know if there's anything that you haven't done recently that maybe you've forgotten that you do. Maybe open water swimming, obviously this time of year, is something that we start to have a little bit of a think about, trying to get back in the water. I can't wait to get back in Marine Lake and get some open water swimming in. But definitely trails for me is something that I'd sort of forgotten about and kind of pushed to the back of my mind. But yeah. Not that I'm thinking of entering another ultra marathon anytime soon. That was probably the hardest race of my life. 11 hours, me and my friend Chris trudging around, trying to keep each other's spirits up, and just, you know, one of those amazing places you go in your head when you've got something in front of you that just seems so incredibly daunting. For so long, you know, even halfway is a long way.
Maybe check in once more. It's going to get dark soon, so we've jacketed and torched up, ready to go. Just come through checkpoint 5, the last checkpoint. We've got just over 10k left, and I'll be buggered if we're running down here. There's boulders and everywhere, so we're going to just tat a bit out. Go on, matey. Oh, mate. Oh, there we go. So, back at the campsite. Finished 11 hours, 30 minutes. It was tough at the end, but we've done it. And yeah, it's a bit of an achievement, I suppose, but I must admit I'm starving now, and I need to have some food.
Anyway, that's it for this week. I'd be interested in finding out what I discover next week, and hopefully get a bit more trail running action in, and I hope this bloody weather sorts itself out. I really want spring to arrive now and stay sprung, stay springed, to stay spranged, whatever it is that you call it. Spring has sprung, and then it unsprung itself, and it needs to bloody well respring itself and stay springed. Have a good week, and I hope you guys can find something that you're enjoying that maybe you haven't done for a long while. I'll see you on the next video.